what's good? It's Klutz, aka Pin Bias, aka the Legend Killer. Welcome back to Klutz TV. You know, we finna break down some more bars for y'all. People have been requesting my third for JC. Very emotional round. Easily the most emotional round I've ever wrote, most impactful round I've ever wrote from the perspective of how it affected me. And but it's a lot more than just an emotional round. It's a lot of different layers, a lot of different, a lot of different meanings to the round that, people don't give a lot of thought to. And there's this discussion about whether or not it actually pertains to JC himself on my opponent. And it does. You can check it out in the URL at, if you want to, Klutz versus JC. Go check that out. But I'll get right into it. This is my third round. So I kicked the round off with just like a little, man, I can rap. This new class is the best in years. That's a fact. Overall, we got like $7.99. So cop the app. Obviously, we got some 99 overalls. App costs $7.99. I'm not gonna bore y'all with every little detail because I know that y'all are smart enough to catch on to most of it. But then we go into, I've witnessed this culture call you Jesus Christ for years, and you always went along with it, which is, this entire, okay, so look, there's this undertone to this entire round that could be missed. It's names. So it's how effective a name can be, how effective just calling yourself something or responding to something, how effective it could be in your everyday life and how much it could apply to so much of the shit. So the overall theme of this round is names. And the biggest name comparison type thing that I'm doing is JC, Julian Carter, and JC, Jesus Christ. It's the biggest name comparison. That's how the entire round, that's one way it ties to JC. So names is the biggest thing, right? And so it's like, and ironically, this is my first big name as well in this battle, right? So you got, you always went along with it. I didn't, which is true. I've never co-signed to the, I was one of those JC fans that was like, man, he's not really Jesus Christ, whatever. And I played that to my advantage. I'm taking the like if you remember my chiller shit, I like to take the crowd on the journeys with me. I took y'all on the journey with me. I started off by saying, I didn't think that, I didn't think you were Jesus Christ. I never did. And so I'm like, but, and he has though. Like I said, that's why I specifically said you always went along with it. Because JC has bars. He even set a bar against me where it was like 7 shots fired. He still wasn't a believer in JC. Well, by the 8th he is, which is clearly him saying JC, referring to himself, but also referring to Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? He's done it multiple other times. He's done it against Surf. Other guys have obviously said bars like that against him type shit, right? So that's the biggest premise. It's like, you can't deny this angle when you have allowed it, when you have out of your own mouth said bars insinuating or comparing yourself to Jesus Christ because of the initials JC, right? So, as we continue, I start this round off. The first chunk of this round is literally just me giving examples of why I don't think he's JC, but then debunking those theories and making comparisons about it and convincing myself in real time, this nigga might be JC. This nigga might be Jesus Christ. He actually might be. And I'm convincing myself in real time. And then it gets to a point. We'll get to that later. So just going in order. I'll start off with a little slick, funny comparison. Like, man, I like facts. And studies show, because I'm a nerd, so I like to, studies show Jesus stood 5 feet 5 inches. And this nigga, well, and then I kind of look at him like, okay, I might just be tripping. Maybe you are JC. Kind of on some, all right, you got that one. Like, all right, y'all are both short. Okay, you got that one, right? Maybe you are JC. And then I kind of get into the, maybe you are JC, and I just couldn't see it connecting. Because if I remember correctly, at birth, the wise men brought gifts to JC the last that I checked it. And let's be real, my nigga, you just newborn with presents. Maybe you are JC. We all know. And honestly, that's an analysis I've had on JC for a while. Or it's really kind of an indictment on newborn. Where I've always had the idea of newborn, like, bruh, newborn had presents like JC, he would be phenomenal. But it's just that, like, he doesn't have that, which JC does have a presence to him, and that's why he's better than newborn. I think from a pen perspective, newborn can write really well, almost right there with JC. JC is much better than him with presence. So it fits perfectly. It's like, oh, okay, well, you are just newborn with presence. Maybe you are JC. You might be the one. I mean, JC got stoned. Jesus in the Bible got stoned. Hell, they threw rock right at you. Speaking of, you was one of Dracula's worst victims. Makes sense why during communion we gotta drink your blood. Nigga, you are JC. And that was the one that, like, brought it together. That's okay, that's way too much to be a coincidence. Obviously, Rock calls himself Dracula. And, you know, Dracula, vampires drink blood. And when you do communion, you know, body, Jesus' body and his blood. You literally drink his blood. So it's like, you was one of Dracula's worst victims. And it makes sense why during communion we gotta drink your blood. Ties too perfectly. I'm convinced at this point, nigga, you are JC. And so, pardon me, I got a phone call. So where was I? So the Dracula, drink your blood, nigga, you are JC. Now, at this point, I started doing recollections. I start like, damn, and it's crazy. That's a place that I never would go, because I loved how you scripture shit so much that I read all your quotes, which is, you know, just a little quote, whatever. And now I'm sick of you. It was really just a transition to get to, and now I'm sick of you because you're supposed to be our savior. Sit quiet while I coach you looking miserable. See, now it immediately, I realize, okay, you are JC. And then I get to a point where I'm like, wait a second, man. All right, we need to have a conversation. Because, like, it's one of those things where it's like, it's the unhealthy side of it, right? Because, you know, a healthy person, because I am religious, so a healthy person, I personally, in my opinion, would see Jesus and this is Jesus right here. And the first thing that they do is be grateful and thank and all of this other stuff. And, you know, the unhealthy part of me, because of my, you know, my past things that have happened, it would start to feel like, wait a second, bro, like I need to talk to you about some shit that happened. I want to know why you're allowing this shit to go on. Why'd you allow this to happen? You know, and like I said, that's the unhealthy side. You know, that's the unhealthy part of things. That's where I need to grow. Another undertone of this round is about my mental health, my personal mental health. Why I think so unhealthy. You know, when I start making these comparisons, it's like, bro, you shouldn't be thinking. This shouldn't make you think about this, but it does, because I can't think about nothing else. So. Oh, you are JC? Bet. You supposed to be our savior. Sit quiet while I coach her looking miserable. Got niggas biting, scripting battles, fake personals. It's pitiful. For instance, Loso said I got a white wife, and that isn't true. Those first two weren't even, I didn't even care. The biting, scripting battles, I don't even care about that part for real. Those were just like I believe, okay, so look, there's a writing rule that I always, that I abide by. It's the rule of threes. I think everything works better in threes. So that's why it's like biting, scripting battles, fake personals. It's pitiful. It's just three. You know, I think that for some reason when you're writing, and if you give three examples of something, it works a lot better and it sounds a lot better. But I just needed them other two examples. From the mental part of the mental health part, I just need them other two examples to get me to the final. Fake personals is pitiful. For instance, Loso said I got a white wife, and that isn't true. She was my girlfriend. We had a kid together. It was the finest blessing. And look, don't get me wrong, y'all. I swear I was going to pop the question till she hit an 18-wheeler on the highway going 70 and died in seconds. That fucked me up. And with nowhere to direct that anger at, my mind was tested. Now that I'm finally face to face with JC himself, I got some questions. The biggest line in there is, with no one to direct that anger at, my mind was tested, because you're looking at it like it was a car accident, right? And I was in the car. I don't know whose fault it was. I don't, even when they brought the report back, there was no direct oh, this person is to blame for this happening. There's no blame. So it's like, I spent a lot of time in real life where I'm just like, bruh, who do I be mad at? I'm mad with no direction, And a lot of times, in an unhealthy way, that direction ended up being Jesus, the Lord, that, like, why would you do that to me, Why would you do that to my son? Like, why is this a thing, So, now that I'm face to face with JC himself, I got some questions. My son is 4 years old. Why do our lives differ? Why can I see my mom anytime I want, but already he got pictures? Why'd you let her on the road that day? Why did traffic slow down? Why you ain't help her hit the brakes? Why did that drive kill her? Wait, fuck all that. JC, why was my son in a car with her? I blame you, JC. So now we're at a point where I'm full on confronting him as if he's actually Jesus Christ. And that's where the divide comes in, where people are, oh, well, he's not actually Jesus Christ. It's like, I understand that. That's where the unhealthy part comes in. We're back to the mental health, the unhealthy side of things. I'm human as shit. I'm human as shit. I'm not perfect. I have flaws. That stems from a flaw where I've literally convinced myself so much with my earlier angle. I've convinced myself so much that you're Jesus Christ that I actually don't even give a fuck that you're not for real. You are today, because I'm getting because I need to have this conversation. So you are today, and you can't deny it now because you wasn't denying it when you was getting reaction for those JC bars that you wrote. When you wrote the Jesus Christ bars, you got those reactions, and you wasn't denying it then. When the crowd reacted, you didn't say, hey, well, technically that bar don't count because I'm not actually. No, it didn't know. So you are today. Right? So I'm literally in real time blaming this man for what happened to me, because I'm not looking at him and seeing Julian Carter no more. I'm looking at him and seeing Jesus Christ, because of the journey that I took all of us on. I didn't start the round off talking to him like this. I didn't start the round off like, oh man, hey, JC, I blame you for this. No, I walked you through my entire thought process that led me here. I started off agreeing. I don't think you JC. I don't think that you're JC. But when I start breaking down all of this shit, I'm like, fuck, okay, this nigga might actually, nigga, you are JC. And now we're here. I blame you, JC. People ask how I cope. Motherfucker, I don't. Here I was thinking battle rap could provide some comfort, but every time I turn around, I'm reminded of it. It's always white girl this, white girl that, starting to think it's the drugs' fault. I mean, I almost had my kids slayed, but can't use battle rap as an outlet because of all of the plug talk. It's consuming me. So now, like I said, we're still with this mental health shit, right? We're still with this mental health. I am literally in hell mentally, because everything reminds me of it. I'm dressing it up as if it's JC's problem. It's really mine. I'm dressing it up like it's his, but it's actually mine. See, I'm in real, and it's really, it's okay. Here's my undertone for the entire battle with JC. My undertone for the entire battle is that no one knows him. Like, we know he raps. We know he can dance a little bit. We know a couple things about JC, but for the most part, he never humanizes himself in his bars. He's like a robot that just spews out good material. That's all he does. firebar. He never really humanizes himself. Throughout this entire battle, even in the first and second, my entire goal was to humanize myself because I felt like the way to be a robot is with humanity. So that's why this entire third round, even the flaws, even the little chinks in the armor in my third are intentional because I'm showing you I'm human. I make false judgments. I make mistakes at times. I shouldn't be yelling at this guy about my baby mom's passing away because that's not healthy. But guess what? I'm not healthy. I'm not healthy. I'm not in a good space. That's why I wrote this entire round. So you're at a place now where white girl this, white girl that. I'm starting to think it's the drugs' fault. This is multiple things. So I'm saying it's the drugs' fault, like y'all on these drugs and shit. That's why y'all even taking these stupid ass. But it's also like white girl is a type of drug. There's a lot of bars about white girl. You know what I mean? So it's like, all right, boom. All of y'all having this. All y'all want to be the plug, and all of y'all want to, talk about this shit. And even just the mention of white girl makes me think about her. That's unhealthy, but it's true. And I'm saying, man, I thought battle rap would provide. I thought that I could go to battle rap. The first thing people will tell me when they find out that I battle rap is like, oh man, I bet that's very therapeutic for you. And I'm like, it should be, but it's not, because it's like I'm not even healthy enough to allow it to be therapeutic for me. Because everything reminds me of this situation. So, all right, my fault. Hopefully that's the last time. Anyway, so moving on. I really think it's the drugs' fault. Almost had my kids slave and can't use battle rap as an outlet because of all of the plug talk. It's consuming me. The way I think is dark. It's literally, I can't put it any more straightforward than that. The way I think is dark. Rock seatbelt line pisses me off. Twerk slogan pisses me off. Like, it ain't just art, man. I'm a Dot Mob fan. We got to take all the Rex bars with a grain of salt. This is literally I'm using bars to do it, but this is literally like my unhealthiness literally spewing out. It's just like, fuck, like these bars that have nothing to do with nothing other than like, the little similarity with Rock's bars about a seatbelt. Strapped in is about a seatbelt, you know what I mean? Rex, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, they tie, but it shouldn't remind. A healthy person would not be reminded. That wouldn't be anything more to them than just a punchline. But like I said, the way I think is dark. It literally consumes me. Like I said, a lot of this round is more about me humanizing myself than actually, So it's actually super hilarious when people say, "Oh, this round has nothing to do with JC." It does. It has direct ties to JC, the battle, to Julian Carter. I expressed him early. I'm comparing him to JC, all of that. The way it ties into JC is the fact that I wouldn't be saying this if it wasn't him. But at the same time, the actual cusp of it itself isn't about JC. It's about me and my humanity, but it is to counter the fact that he doesn't provide any. It's a direct counter. I'm doing it purposely. I'm purposely countering his lack of humanity with showing that I am human. So Rex bars with a grain of salt, free to wave. Sometimes even listening to Surf gets bad because I think about the fact that if my son wants his mother, all he can reach for is an urn and ash. That's like everyone's favorite line from the joint. I actually struggled with whether or not I should say it, because that line, more than anything else in the round, is probably the realest line for me, because it's true. It's not like, oh man, I just made it up. Like, no, to save money and just, because it was so out of nowhere, they did have her cremated. And so I have an urn in the room with her ashes in it. It's in Aiden's room, my son, and he's asked for it because he knows, he kind of acknowledges it as his mom, you know. So he's asked for it. He's wanted to, give it a kiss and these types of things. These are just conversations I've had with my son. So that was a tough bar for me to not only write, but to, say. That was the toughest one of all. It almost didn't make the final cut because of that reason. But, it also ties into, and I'm going to say this next, Surf had a couple of lines against JC, and Surf's one of my favorite battlers. He's had a couple of lines against JC that was directly about him losing his mother, a JC losing his mother type of thing, right? Or just about his mother in general. And even me being a Surf fan, I didn't rock with those bars, and that's why I'm saying even listening to Surf gets bad, because Surf has gone there at times, and it's so that's why I follow it by saying, but after all, what'd he tell you? You either die, rest in peace, or die and become a battle bar. Till niggas start getting killed for that shit and the culture gotta act appalled or laugh it off. So I'm asking y'all, would you rather let someone who died rest in peace or die over a battle bar? That's pretty straightforward as well, just very simple. Like, what happens if motherfuckers start retaliating? What happens if you think that you want to be disrespectful, you have a million bars about a motherfucker's lost loved one, and you end up dying over that? Then what? Is that the point where it's going to be like, all right, maybe, niggas is doing too much? Who knows? And it's also a flip on Surf shit. Over battle bar, JC, I would say you ruined my life, but nah, you didn't. There was glass everywhere in that car but the car seat. All types of wicked. I'm grateful. Thank you. Because it feels like I need that kid more than he needs me in this life we live in. Named him Aiden Cortez Scott, and now it's looking like his job description. So, yes, my son's actual name is Aiden Cortez Scott, right? And obviously my name is just Cortez Scott. So he helps me a lot. He aids me a lot. So Aiden Cortez Scott is his name, but it's looking like his job description, right? But then it ties the whole joint around, because I follow that with names can tell a whole story. That's the whole point. Like I told y'all, my whole names is the whole theme of this entire round. Even my son's name ties to what he does for me. And like I said early on, I realized this is JC, and the first thing I don't start off by saying, man, I'm grateful for everything you've done for me. No, I'm not that healthy of a place. My first thing is, why did you allow this to happen, this to happen, this to happen? It didn't dawn on me till later on, where I'm like, man, but you didn't ruin my life. Thank you. My son is still here, so I appreciate it. You know what I mean? This is just, I feel like this is how the conversation at that time in my life, that's how the conversation would go. Names can tell a whole story, JC. Initially, you was godly with the pen. Congrats, you can rap and shit. But over here, it's a whole darker path and shit, because I'm Klutz and spend most of my days tripping over an accident. So, names telling a whole story once again. I'm Klutz, tripping over an accident. We get that, but it also ties into the theme of names telling the entire story. Names can tell the whole story. Tripping over an accident. Stop asking it. I ain't fine. I used to wonder, how could JC also be the Reaper? How could y'all share the same mind? But then I realized, or until it was something like, how could y'all share the same mind? But then then I realized, when my son was saved, but his mother looked death in the face at the same time. It's facts, in the same accident, my son was literally spared. Accident that bad, he came out unscathed. He was literally saved, and I'm religious, so I feel like it was nothing but the grace of God that got him out of that accident. But on the flip side, I feel like death came for his mother in the exact same accident. So it's almost like JC and the Reaper are the same person, and they just did both jobs. At the same time, this shit's sickening. For all the people in the culture who lost loved ones, I pray y'all keep living. R.I.P. Pat Stay. Fuck anybody that want to get ignorant, because it's battle rap. It's not an excuse to be a bitch nigga. And this was, obviously the Pat Stay shit was still a little, not super fresh, but it was still pretty fresh. My bad. All right. So just to wrap it up. So the Pat Stay shit was still pretty fresh for a lot of people, and I would see online people. I think I saw somebody around that time have a bar about Pat Stay that was disrespectful, and it was just like what type? Like why? Like what? So that's like fuck anybody that don't want to get ignorant. Like if you think that it's just like if you think that death is just something like somebody losing somebody is worth a bar in a disrespectful manner. Now, if you showing your appreciation, if you are paying homage, anything, you know what I mean, by all means. But I think that from a skill set perspective, it's not needed. Now, if your intention is to be disrespectful because you really don't fuck with the motherfucking real life, that's your own prerogative. That's a whole nother conversation for another day. But if that's the vibes, then that's the vibes. If you're unapologetically disrespectful and you don't care, then whatever. But I think that people that want to like the shock value and all of that, and I don't fuck with that shit. That's why my next line is fuck anybody want to get ignorant, because it's battle rap. It's not an excuse to be a bitch nigga. And that's one of my slogan at this point. And I stand by it. It's not just saying that you shouldn't do certain things. It's saying that you're actually allowed to do those things because it's battle rap. But don't think that you are exempt from being judged for it. You can do whatever you want to. It's battle rap. You can say whatever you'd like. But then don't expect me to not judge you as a person, man or woman, based off of what you said on that stage just because it's battle rap. Oh, I didn't mean it. Nah. You chose to do that. So, yeah. And that's really what the preface is. So yeah, little recap. It's a name game. The whole round is about it. The whole round, the theme of it is that names can tell an entire story. And I used the main premise of it was using JC Julian Carter's name, connecting it to JC Jesus Christ's name, based off of not things that, I just pulled out of thin air. These are things that not only have been said to JC before, but that he said about himself. So I used that to my advantage. And I used it to my advantage and also displayed my own humanity in the many flaws within the material. It's like intentional flaws. It's like I'm showing you my human elements in real time. Oh man, Klutz, he's not actually Jesus Christ, so you shouldn't have this conversation with him. That is true. But I don't give a fuck. I'm not in a healthy enough place to, or I wasn't. I'm actually in a much healthier place now, especially when it comes to that particular situation. I've gotten a lot of clearance. I've also even that performance did a lot for me mentally. That third round, I cried when I got off stage immediately. It did a lot for my mental health, just being able to express myself and express that situation in front of so many people, and in a way that I truly feel passionate about. I'm truly passionate about writing. So being able to express myself in that way, and also be able to tell a story that probably many of other people have lived, but don't have the platform or the ability to express their story. So so I get to do it. But yeah, that was my third for JC. It's on the app, Klutz vs. JC. Go check it out, man. It's Pin Bias, a legend killer. And just before I sign off, look, man, mental health is very real. It's a very serious thing in this world. And anybody that is struggling with theirs, that feels like there's no way out, man, I really encourage you to keep pushing. And just, things can and will get better. I hope I can live as a testimony to that things can and will get better. And I hope things do get better for everybody. And salute to y'all, man. Hope y'all have a very safe and wonderful day. And until the next installment, this is Klutz TV. Salute.